Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Raw is Ginger.
Well, welcome everybody back to another episode of Raw is Ginger. And as you can see, we don't have a resident ginger. We're back with me and John Toner. John, great to have you back. It's been a while.
Aye, mate, it's been a wee bit of time between work, internet issues, family stuff. It just all seemed to be happening one week after the other.
Oh no.
And then as you've seen, a bit of a nightmare with getting on.
Aye.
But so if it's laggy or something, I have no idea. I have no idea why.
We'll take it as it goes. That's what we do here.
How you doing?
Not bad. It's been a quiet week, even though the Waynes have been in the house because it's the October week.
Oh, that's right.
It's been quiet, surprisingly.
Well, still plenty of time in the week for that to change.
There is. It's only Wednesday. There's still 2 more days plus the weekend.
Aye. So there's more of the week left for it not to be quiet.
Exactly. So because we've been trying to get this, should WWE erase CM Punk, and it's just we can't get all three of us at the same place at the same time or on here at the same place at the same time. It's just not happening
We
for
both know
all
what
sorts
the,
of reasons.
we both know what the answer is.
I'm not saying anything. I'm going to be completely down the middle.
You can't be, because the facts speak for themselves. No chance. You know, on to plums if anyone thinks that's resulting any other way.
But because it's just the two of us again, we thought people are always talking about their Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And we thought we'll come on and we'll discuss our own Mount Rushmores. Now, I've got mine, but I've also got another 2 Mount Rushmores. I've got enough to make 3 Mount Rushmores because it's like I was like, who can I put on? Who can I take off? And it's like, my God, it's actually really difficult.
So difficult. I done mines, and so I don't know if my phone was making that buzz. So I done mine, and I chopped and changed it about, kept mucking about, kept getting in. I mean, I could have probably done about 10 Mount Rushmores with the amount that I was hanging. And I was so strict with myself. I says, well, I'll get this one. I will get it down. Yeah, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I had to think on not just my thoughts on it all, the kind of wrestling in general, but you know, who I thought, who I had watched, who I had enjoyed, who had get me into it, who had continued that. When I've went back and watched the kind of older stuff, who pulled me into that. So I've created mine. How do you want to do it? Will we go one each?
We'll do one each, and then we can talk about honourable mentions.
Yep.
At the end.
No worries. So my first one is probably the biggest. People might have said the biggest surprise. I can't believe that I don't hear this mentioned more, because I honestly think it's a stick on. Vince McMahon.
I can understand where you're coming with for that, because if we didn't have Vince McMahon, we wouldn't have had the WWF, the WWE. We wouldn't have had these people that we're putting up on a pedestal.
And
so,
100%. And then when you look at it and you go, you know, people talk about, and we'll probably get into it both based on both were picks, but people talk about wrestlers that kind of started eras, wrestlers that carried eras, wrestlers that done this, wrestlers that done that. And I totally get that and I totally appreciate it. But none of that becomes possible without Vince.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought, and by the way, just to say, when I was writing this out, right, he wasn't even a name that I had jotted down. And then when I started humming and hawing with different people, and I thought, well, just why is Vinnie Mac not on that?
Aye.
It makes so much sense.
It does.
I then decided that he would go on that. Vince McMahon's my pick. I think a lot of this stuff would never have happened if it wasn't for him. So for me, I think a very surprisingly maybe easy pick for this.
Yeah. Well, my first pick goes hand in hand with yours, Steve Austin.
Steve Austin, 100% is obviously on mine.
Yep.
As you can imagine, 100% on mine. He 100% agree with you. He took the Attitude Era by the scruff of the neck and really, I mean, nobody talks about the Attitude Era without talking about Austin.
Yeah.
There was some great people before it, during it, and after it, 100%.
Definitely, yeah.
You take him out, and that era's not there.
No. You wouldn't have had even half the storylines. If you think about it, 90% of the storylines for the Attitude Era involved Steve Austin, Triple H, The Rock, and Vince McMahon.
And
they spearheaded the Attitude Era.
And for everything that Austin done, even when he was injured and couldn't wrestle all the time, he was still prominent in and about everything, whether it was still doing segments, whether it was spoken about every week until the return happened. He was so prominent throughout every part of it that, as you can imagine, yes, he was also one of my picks. He was my next pick.
Yeah.
On mine. So because you've gave Austin and I've got him, I will go with my next one. And I think, again, it just kind of had to be Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is when you talk about eras and everything, look at how many eras he wrestled through.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can talk about some of the latter ones and, you know, the quality, but pretty much up until the end, there were always quality performances going out. It was consistent all the time. I mean, he was a big part of many eras. I mean, look at how many decades he's wrestled in.
I know.
Look at the amount of people that he's wrestled. You know, I mean, he's wrestled guys whose kids he then wrestled.
I know.
You know, it's frightening. I just thought that when you talk about eras and everything, obviously I agree with the Austin one, but Taker was so prominent amongst so many eras that I know he had to be there.
See, he's one that I was up and down on. He's not actually on my list, but he's on one of the other ones where it's like he should be there, but the ones I've picked are for the reasons that they're there. But I can totally agree with that one. It's like I can't be saying, nah, he doesn't deserve to be up there, because he certainly does, like you said, from like 1990 to 2023, and he's still relevant in today's business. He showed up on NXT.
That's right.
Still relevant. I remember watching him showing up at the Survivor Series. I was there watching it live on the telly, like, oh my God, who's this guy? This is brilliant.
And he's just continued to be such a big part of every era.
Yeah.
And he's continued to do what he's done, as you say, even though retired, and I always use it loosely in wrestling, he still turns up. He still spoke about, you know, yeah, his appearances are few and far, and yeah, it's not of the dead man persona, but he still turns up.
Yeah.
Everybody still gives him the pop, because despite him not being there now, he's still so anticipated and so much spoken about.
Yeah. Well, we'll go to my second pick, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, I get one that was on mine, was off mine, was on mine, was off mine, ended up off mine, but was probably, if I was to have said I had like 10 people that kind of made it right down, he was very much
there.
You know, again, for everything he's done throughout the years, even the different places he's wrestled, you know, the different companies he's went to, but he's always been relevant. But for me, he always made himself relevant.
Yeah,
you know, where I think maybe the Undertaker, for example, was just always there and had this aura about him. Now, you'll remember it as well. Taker never back in the day spoke that much.
No, because he had Paul Bearer,
and
he didn't need to.
And then even, you know, he had this aura about him, whereas Flair, and 100% agree with him being there, but he just he created his own, or he created everything himself. Yeah. But I mean, when you look at some of the best matches ever, he's very much there, and he created a kind of a new style, as well, which was why he was so close to getting on mine. And I thought, if we just made Mount Rushmore a bit bigger, he would 100% been on mine. But I just couldn't break him in. My next one is maybe the most surprising one. Depends on how people look at it. Dusty Rhodes.
He's one that I was thinking about. It's like, should he go on? It's like, he should be there. But then it's like, no, I need these other people because they've been more influential overall towards the fans rather than, like, with Dusty, he was more influential backstage, training people up.
And I think that's the thing. When you look at how many people come through, now, even today, you know, your Seth Rollins, your Kevin Owens, your Roman Reigns, they were all, and more, you know, but they were all through him. And I thought, because I tried to look at it a wee bit different, and I was like, yeah, I could put guys on just for the whole wrestling aspect.
Yeah.
But having, you know, Vince there because of what he originally created, Austin because, I mean, at one time I think he was the biggest name in wrestling by a mile. Undertaker because of the generations that he's went across, and then Dusty because of what he's created to come through.
Yeah. No, I can completely understand that. He's on my second one. I've actually even got another one that's like tag teams. It's like my Mount Rushmore of tag teams, because I was like, you can't put this person on without putting their tag team on. So it's like, my God, now I've got like 8 tag teams.
I think Mount Rushmore for tag teams is definitely another episode.
Definitely, yeah. But well, we've had your 4 picks now, so
yep.
Well, my next one had a lot of great matches with Dusty. Jake Roberts.
Yep, I totally get it. I'm totally there with you. He, I think, this is how bad it got for me. I think he made my top 13 and never quite squeezed into the top 10. Because, yeah, for me, I mean, some of the stuff he done was just unseen, unheard. I mean, he brought a whole different culture to watching wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, the psychological warfare that he would build up in his promos. It's like, you see the other people doing the promos, they're talking to Mean Gene or they're talking to somebody next to them, whereas Jake the Snake was just looking straight dead at the camera.
Yep.
Eye contact with the camera, so he's looking straight at you, and you think, he's going to rip me apart.
Aye.
And it's like, the way he built a promo was just a whole nother level compared to everything that we'd seen, especially for the guys that were there at the time with Hogan and Warrior. Coked out their nut, don't know what the hell they're saying.
Aye.
Macho Man, who was not on drugs. He was just, that's what he was. It's like, you go back, it's like, he wasn't on drugs there. It's like, no, he never took any drugs. He liked to drink, but that was it. It's like, what? He wasn't on drugs. But then you get Jake the Snake, so quiet, and it's right to the camera. And it's like, he's going to destroy this guy. Wasn't he the best in ring?
Oh, no, he definitely wasn't. I mean, he did. In ring was never the best. And I wouldn't even say it was probably in the top 10.
No, definitely not.
But he, again, in ring, tried to create something different.
Yeah.
And people bought into this because of him.
Yeah, because like I said, it was the psychologicalness of everything. Every move that he'd done in the ring was thought out and planned and methodical. Whereas, like, you're used to the other guys, lift them up, drop them, leg drop, done. Body press, jump on them, done. And it's like, it was a different way of wrestling. And it's like, people are like, this is good. This is what we need. And you can see a lot of influence, even now. Like, some people, the way they structure matches is because of the way that Jake Roberts would have structured the match. My last one is actually still an active wrestler, but the reason I've got him up here is because of everything he's done in all the companies he's been in, and it's AJ Styles.
AJ was very close to being in mines as well. Again, because of the companies he's been in, he's always been very big, very relevant
Yeah.
in every company. You can clearly see winding down now, which is
Yeah.
understandable. But still, the caliber of matches he puts on and has put on
Yeah.
is unreal.
I know. And it's the fact that you can put him in these high caliber matches without any build up. You can just say, all right, you're going to be fighting Seth Rollins for the title tonight.
Yeah.
And it'll be close to a 5-star match because he knows how to work a ring. He knows how to work with people. The whole thing about him getting injured at the Royal Rumble, he's like, no, that was on me. I took the hit wrong when Edge speared him. But they brought him back and they built that rivalry. And he's like, that's how we do it. We bring him back. We put him in the match. You took me out for 3 months. And it was a brilliant story.
Yeah, I'm not 100%.
Because when he started, he was like more high flyer stuff. He's sort of calmed down a bit with that now because, he's pushing 50. So he's obviously going to slow down a bit, but he's still doing the high spots when it's relevant for it to be done. And the fact that he started off in Impact, in TNA, and he built himself up. He wasn't given a chance. He built himself to where he was. It was him, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Samoa Joe. They were the big four. Despite all the ex-WWF guys, WCW guys coming in, they were the four that people were going to see every week because they were the four that would put on the best matches. And even now, those four are still putting on the best matches they can wherever it is they go.
Yeah. And, I think, as you say, it was very difficult to kind of obviously narrow it down. Everybody has the issue. For me, a couple of honourable mentions, and I'm pretty sure they'll be there and about your list as well, are guys like Andre the Giant, The Rock. And the reason for me The Rock was there but never quite made it for me was, do you know what? Everything that he'd done and that he come through and was brilliant. He was so entertaining. He was really good. Now, brilliant to watch, really popular. Did he change a landscape?
Mm-hmm.
Did he stay about for long enough? When you look at like The Undertaker, for example, did he have that? And he didn't. So for me, the reason because the Attitude Era, as we said, was Austin's kind of era.
Yeah.
And where The Rock was a big figure in that, it would have still been there if The Rock wasn't there.
Yeah.
It would have still happened. Yeah, there would have been a lot of differences in storylines and whatever else, but it would have still ran.
Yeah.
It would have still been there. We would have still had it. So The Rock for me missed the cut. Andre the Giant missed the cut as well. By the way, and he was about it, and there's a reason I'm getting this name out because I don't think it's a name that a lot of people would have about, but there was a reason. Farouk was out it because the amount of years and work that guy put in and the amount of different characters he portrayed as well, and
Aye.
he was, for me, all right, he never made my top 10, but he floated about for quite a while and he did kind of float about my head. But never quite made the kind of final group.
Aye. Well, two of my honourable mentions are Dusty and Taker that were on your list because you've put them on for completely valid reasons. And it was like the other people I'd put on, I thought, well, I think they've been a bit more relevant. Not that they two haven't been relevant. And it's like, I was sitting arguing myself, like, who should I put on? Should I put, nah? And it's like, but another one of my honourable mentions is Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper made my top 10 and I just couldn't, part of me wanted to put him on, to have him there. And I had him there at one point and then couldn't justify keeping him there and taking out some of the guys that I had.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, you know, when you look at everything that he'd done throughout his career, and you know, again, different things that he created that so many people till today base off of.
Yeah. I mean, if we didn't have Roddy Piper, we wouldn't have had people on the mic like CM Punk and the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
Because Roddy Piper had the original pipe bombs with Piper's Pit. He was fantastic on the mic. His in-ring work was great as well. Wasn't he like top 10 in-ring work? He was a great technical wrestler, but he wasn't
consistent.
That's it. You could put him in a match. A lot of people say that's how he didn't get the push to be the top guy. We all know the reason is it was Hogan said, I'm not dropping to him.
Yeah.
But another one is actually somebody who had a great match with Roddy Piper, and it's Dustin Rhodes, Goldust.
You know, it did come into my head. It did. And I think for me, again, I'm not disputing people that would put him on or have him kicking about it. I think for me, I just didn't feel, compared to others, his contribution was as up there. You know, I think everything that he's done has been fantastic, but if you compare to our Mount Rushmore's,
aye,
you know, he's not in the same level, probably slightly under. He's not quite at that level, but to still go out and do what he does and probably putting on some of the best matches he's put on in a long time.
Definitely.
Is definitely got to be admired, but I could see why he would float about being there. But again, I think it would be difficult to justify having him in the final.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is as well, though, you look at who you've picked, who I've picked, there's ones we've agreed with, there's differences we've had, but you could literally sit and debate all week about who should and who shouldn't be there. And the thing is, in doing something like this, I mean, we could come back next week
and have a completely different list.
But still be able to justify
each one.
Who's there is there. And it's but do you know what? It's been interesting. It's been entertaining. It's good to kind of hear other thoughts where we agree, where with slightly different outlooks on levels that people maybe should be put to. But I know it was, you know, nice and quick tonight compared to normal, but that was definitely that was definitely good. I enjoyed that. We will need to actually jump on again and do a tag team one though.
Oh, definitely. We can maybe get all 3 years and for that one.
I think we should definitely kind of look at doing that. But no, that was really good tonight. I really enjoyed that.
Well, with that, we'll leave you to ponder the Mount Rushmore, and hopefully we can get all 3 of us and do CM Punk eventually. And see ya.
Cheers.